Hello, welcome back to the JRB podcast with myself, Ryan Levine, joined here by Jeff Jones and Bohdan Temnick.
Hello there.
Hey,
So, a couple of things have changed, as you can probably see. The channel name is now JRB Podcast instead of Duelist Academy. There's a long story for that, but the short of it is pretty much we're gonna be the only ones putting content up on this channel in the future. So, and it originally wasn't even the Duels Academy channel. It was originally an old YouTube channel that I had a while ago. I don't know. It's a whole thing, but basically, yeah, it is the JRB podcast channel now, not Duels Academy. It is still us three, and I'm sure at some point we'll have people from, the other Duels Academy stuff on here eventually. Like, I'm just sure that will happen at some point. So it's not a whole lot has changed. Just some.
I'm sure we can have a special guest, Jesse Cotton.
Yeah, eventually. Yeah. Second
Well-
thing, it looks different. Obviously, we didn't want to keep using the Duelist Academy logo on all of the videos and the thumbnail and stuff like that. So it looks really plain right now, and I apologize for that. We do have a logo in the works that is being made. It is just not ready yet, and we didn't want to just not have one for however long until it is done. So hopefully it'll be done before the next episode, and then everything will look respectable. But for now, it is just plain text on a white or on a black background. And we added our little speech bubbles with with Discord. So there were a couple comments about how it was not always clear who was speaking for new listeners. So that should clear that up. So if our little bubble is on, then we are speaking. And then final thing, we uploaded yesterday a video on Universus. Jeff and I talked about it. I opened a box of the newest set, and it is something that I've talked about on the podcast previously, where I was been playing the My Hero card game for several months now, I think since like April. And they sent me some product from the newest set, and we opened it up and we talked about that. And I'm going to say, even if My Hero Academia even if you have no interest in that, there are new IPs coming to that game. The entire point of that game originally is supposed to be different IPs battling, which is a concept that has been tried a million times and seems like everything except Smash Brothers never gets it right. But I'm hopeful this will get it right. And the IPs they announced coming up are Cowboy Bebop, Trigun Stampede, Yu Yu Hakusho, and Attack on Titan. So Jeff and I talk about that. We open up some packs. So if any of those have any interest to you, just click that video. Don't have to watch the whole thing. It's 30 minutes long. Just put it on, 2x speed and just, whatever. And we have a link in the description of that video and this video. If you sign up for an account on UGN, which is the Universe Game Network, if you just make an account, it takes a few minutes. You have to have one to play the locals and stuff like that. If you put JRB Podcast in the How Did You Hear About Us section, you get points, and you can spend those points on a promo card. I am not 100% certain how it works by getting them through the mail. I have redeemed points for cards before, but I've only done it in person at events. So I am not personally familiar with the mail-in process. But from what has been explained to me, if you just use our code and make an account and get 50 points, you can just get a promo card. And that's it. So if you like any of these even a little bit, and you don't have to spend your points immediately if you want. I'm sure eventually they'll make a Yu Yu Hakusho promo or a Trigun promo. If you just any of this interests you, make an account, use our code, and if you end up liking the game, you can get promos with it, and you can play locals and earn more points. And if not, just get a promo card. And it.
Ryan, as an aficionado of this game, do you recommend any promos to the people that might sign up and just want to get a promo that they think might be competitively viable without any real
So if you actually have interest in just playing the game and you're just not sure what promo you think would be the best, like competitively, I need to make sure that this card is not rotating out of standard soon before I recommend it. So let me just confirm it is from the set I think it is from. Yes, so there is a card called Seizing the Advantage is my recommendation for the competitively optimal promo card for you to get. Assuming you have no predisposition to a specific deck, because cards in this game can only be used in decks of their color or symbol. But seizing the advantage would be my recommendation of a competitive promo card that is in a lot of decks, and it's actually currently in my deck. So yeah, I'd recommend it for sure.
I do not play this game, but I just read this card and I vaguely know the rules, and this card seems very strong. This card gives you does this card give you like a free mana? Is that what this kind of is?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, okay,
Yep.
yes.
Yep. It is very good. All right, yeah. So that should be that as far as morning announcements go. Yeah. So just I'll have all the links in the description of this video and the video I mentioned. Just literally poke around for a couple of minutes, see if anything interests you, and even if it doesn't, just make an account and get some points. And then you can always come back to it later and just have 50 free points. So yeah. As far as the actual meat of the discussion today, there is a YCS coming up in Europe in a little less than 2 weeks. And there is the Fire King structure deck coming out, and that will be legal for that event. That is the only new cards we will be getting. And that seems a little unassuming, but
just casually though, it is next week.
Next week.
The
yes.
9th and 10th.
Yes. Yeah.
9th and 10th. Okay. Yep.
Yes.
I thought it was this weekend, but then I realized it couldn't be.
No.
Here we are.
So it's 11 days from now.
Yeah. So the Fire King structure deck, which we now, as of like yesterday, maybe even today, I think it was yesterday or today, we got the full TCG deck list, which we knew all of the new cards.
We had it for a while.
Yeah, but now we've got.
There was a trade show in Europe, and someone, I don't know how they did it because they usually never let you do these. You know how they have the displays at like Gamma or like Comic-Con?
Yeah.
And this guy snapped a photo of the back of the structure deck and posted it on like Facebook or something.
Oh, I didn't
know
that.
That means they had the physical product with like the final thing that was ready to be shipped out for distro and everything. And it looked fake as well, I'm pretty sure, because like they just had like a random main deck monster in the extra deck monster thing. Or I could be wrong.
But we can see. So I'm actually I'm looking at it at the official one now, and they have some main deck cards listed after the extra deck because I figured this out. Why? In Japan, the structure deck comes with a structure deck, and then it comes with like a power up pack or something. It's called, for this one, it's called Second Coming of the Eternal Flame Rulers pack. And it just has some more, like, to the best of my knowledge, there's no reason why these would be not just in the deck. Oh, because some of them can be different rarities. That's why.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh wait. What? Oh, you mean in the power up pack?
So yes.
Power up pack.
Yeah, in the power up pack. Yes.
Okay,
so
because I was gonna say like, but that the only way that explains like the back of our deck having this really sloppy like deck list put on there would be because they're just copy and pasting, right?
Well, it's because the five cards in the Japanese power up pack are the cards that for the English deck were put in as set code 44 to 48.
Okay.
Because
but that's still
Hida is because in the Japanese deck they are a different set code. They're like they're not like structure deck. They're like power up pack 1 to 5. So they just
like,
put them at the
end. It's in the brick, right? That's
it is in
the issue.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm just saying like it doesn't make sense to me that like it's like his.
Oh, I agree with you. I don't disagree with you. I'm just explaining why it is.
No, of course that makes a wealth of sense. But like, it shouldn't be that way, right? Like,
sure, I agree. It shouldn't be that way. but here we are. Yeah.
They couldn't pay the intern to copy and paste and move them into the correct spots.
No, I guess not. So so we've got so it ended up being, I guess, I vaguely remember this now that you're bringing it up again with the high avatar Garunix in the after the extra deck cards, and we were like, and I was like, what? Like, what's happening? Now I remember talking about. But we've got Infinite Impermanent, Solemn Judgment, and Droll and Lockbird. Crazy reprints actually for this structure, like actually crazy reprints.
Oh, for sure. Solemn is a consistent like bordering 5 US card even after the amount of reprints it's had, right?
It is crazy.
Sort of where we're at. It's like the Maze copy I think is like 3 something. It might have gone up.
Yeah.
Maybe it's less. I don't know. But like I think that these are good reprints, right? These are good reprints. This is a structure deck you'll buy 3 copies of. right? Like
Yeah, yes.
functionally,
And something
yeah.
I am
And
gonna
you're just
say,
getting a playset of Droll, a playset of Judgment, a playset of Imperm, and this
yeah,
is before you even get into like rarity collection, anything else, right? I think
yeah.
that's really good.
Like Imperm is in the rarity collection, and obviously I'm gonna do my patented why do they put the same cards in every single set every time, yada yada yada. However,
No,
Droll and
that's it. But
Judgment
like,
were
what
not.
else are you putting in a structure deck?
Exactly. Well, yes, I agree with you. I'm saying Droll and Judgment were not. And these are sort of staple cards. Like Droll was like noticeably
Yes.
absent from the rarity collection, and we've been seeing even the cheaper printings of Droll kind of
Yeah,
creep up.
like
Like if I remember,
$5-6 on
yeah,
rare copies
exactly.
that came out last year, and in
Yeah,
Tama, that
which
was, was that open a lot? Probably not, but it's a rare in a deck building pack.
mhm.
So
And the
you know,
last time Droll was in a structure deck was like 6, 7
that
years
was the
ago.
spellcaster one, right? That
Yeah,
was
it was.
2019. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think these are like quality, like valuable reprints. Also, Solemn Judgment hasn't been a common in like 14 years or something crazy.
That would
Like a
have
long
been
Yeah.
time.
one of the other structure decks, right? Was
2011 in one of the
Dark
2011
Law?
structure decks. Lost,
Was
yeah,
it the
so
Dark Law
12
one?
years. It hasn't been since the Lost Sanctuary structure deck. It's been 12 and
Well,
a
we
half
also, I
years.
guess, if you really want to break it down, we had like a battle pack one.
Yeah, but it was a
Yeah.
rare. So,
Yeah,
and that was
it
also
was
in
there.
2012. So, it was just, yeah, I'm just looking at the printing of Solemn Judgment and it's all like Ghost, Secret, Secret, Ultra, Ultimate, Ultra, Super, Premium Gold, Rare. Like, okay,
Mm.
sure, yeah. And it's like, and sometimes it's easy to forget that like I mean, I will say the Maze Super Rare I would consider like a budget printing. Like that is like a budget printing. That's like a pretty easy to get one that's only a couple bucks, but it's like the fact that it has only been in these rarities and hasn't been a common in like 12 years is crazy. That even though this card has like, 10, 12 printings, almost,
Mm.
I mean, one of them is a LART. I barely even count a Lost Art as a reprint at this point.
Sure.
Because
Yeah.
technically they're like $40 single cards. Like like you pay $40 and get it from your local. Like that's barely a reprint. I don't really.
Yes, until someone posts like
Yeah.
40,000 boxes of the
Yeah.
20 single promos on Facebook
And they
or
just
whatever.
and I feel like they rotate so quickly now that I can never even keep track of which ones are the current
I
Lost
saw
Art.
a
And it's
Lost
like,
Art Dark Roll and No More at locals, and I just said, "Ha, funny," because like rarity collection already happened. Like, why would anyone want this?
yeah,
And but that's not to say, okay, I think it's good to have these cards constantly in print, right? They're cards you need 3 copies of. They're cards that are meta relevant in some capacity, depending on the format. Like these are, we can consider these staples, right? Like not necessarily ones that you would play every single time, but they're cards that you would like to have and have them be relatively inexpensive. So I think that's always good.
yeah,
But I think for Lost Art, again, we're sort of going off tangent, but I think Lost Art specifically needs to be incentivized a little better, especially when you look at like other games, right? Like buy a box promos, stuff like that. Like Magic has had some crazy buy a box promos. Like give me the incentive to get something nice when I purchase my OTS. No, not my OTS pack. Sorry, I'm thinking back during COVID when they didn't have Lost Arts and they gave you OTS when you bought
yes,
product because there were no
I remember
tournaments.
that. Yeah, because there were no tournaments. Yeah,
Yeah. We didn't get that luxury, sadly. We just don't have OTS packs.
All
But
right.
yeah, no,
Also,
but, something cool, right? Like the Dark Magician Girl, I thought was really special, and then they reprinted it again, and it's just flooding, and like
yeah,
there's nothing special about it now, right? Like,
yeah.
but I want something special like that. That was a nice feeling. It's like
Which
Kazuki Takahashi artwork.
I'm so glad this Lost Arts organically came up because
Mm.
2 days ago I noticed that Quick Draw Synchron has a Lost Art and we haven't gotten it. And I was gonna make it a goal of mine to somehow fit in today. They should release the Quick Draw Synchron Lost Art. But now that we've organically on the topic of Lost Art, I think they should make the Quick Draw Synchron Lost Art.
Sure.
I think it would do. I think that one would do pretty well comparatively. Comparatively
So like,
to
I think
other
the
ones.
other way we can look at it too is like, why don't we treat, because Lost Art is like a unique sort of thing for like for TCG, right? Like obviously like Japan is not having a Lost Art for watered down artworks for whatever, but it's like
that would be hilarious. Found art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're not bound by like any like rules or like OCG did it this way. It's like, no, like Lost Art is just like a nice TCG thing, and they can be more like pick and choose. Obviously, Japan's approval is the ultimate, but What if we did more lost arts for like the legacy formats, like Time Wizard formats, stuff like that? Because we had like a lost art Don Zalug, I thought was really cool. That was something I would have enjoyed, 10 years ago. Right
Yeah,
now, it's
yeah,
like I
yeah.
see it and I'm like, this card is, $2, and I'm upset. But it just looks neat. Maybe we could have, like quick draws. That's Time Wizard 2010. We can have more, cards like that sort of popping up. I'm sure there's some crazy, even just minor like alt art stuff that could be printed as alt art, and then it will lower the price of like some of these like Time Wizard format cards. Like I don't know if you can do a Lost Art for like Absolute Zero or like Substitute or something, but these are cards that are really expensive, and I feel like Lost Art would be a really good way to sort of just like put more in rotation,
Well, I don't
sort
think
of lower the
those
price, but also
have
value
lost
up.
arts. What
I
what
no,
do you
I
mean?
assume they wouldn't, but like just valuing up the lost, like I want to have a lost art that is worth like either keeping, something that I would play with. Like when Skill Drain was really expensive and Skill Drain was a lost art, like I would go to my locals and I would buy a
Yeah,
product
I mean,
to get
I
Skill Drain,
agree,
right? Like
and I think
I
like
I'm gonna jump in here because I've been
yeah,
silent for a while,
mm,
but I think like instead of also with eventually we're going to run out of lost arts, and then what, right?
no, we've got a lot left. Not gonna lie,
Uh,
we've got a lot. I
okay,
think
but
we're
all of
good
them
till
are
like
very.
2028.
But also, I
Like,
think a lot of them are just so bad, like you just don't even care if you want. Like, why would you even want some of them? A
yes,
lot of them.
no,
and you
exactly.
can
That's why
tell
I
when the
think
drop
you
off
need to
happened.
make them. You need to make them relevant enough, either like meta relevant or again. So I think legacy format relevant is good. Do you know why? Because it's not
All right, sweet.
occupied by
Anyway,
this.
I'm gonna keep saying what I was going to say. Is I think instead of doing lost arts, they should just do alternate art cards instead of throwing them into packs. You get one when you spend $40. I think that is way more incentivized to people to buy product then.
Yeah, probably, and especially
Yeah.
like if they could do variant arts of older cards, right? So like for Absolute Zero or Substitute or whatever, like cards that have
Mm,
been banned or unplayable for infinite, and then now they're seeing a resurgence because of
yeah.
these, like legacy formats seeing play. You just, do an HD redraw of Absolute Zero where you can see the icicles
All right.
melting, and then
Now,
and then
hear me
you
out. Hear me out. Though. Really crazy take
mhm.
though, because obviously we know that like that would never happen because haha Japan, right? Like they would have to have the lost art, like they would have to have the alt art first, and then like something would happen. I could see that happening maybe
Well,
if they
no,
do like
we
We've
get the
had
alt
alt
arts and
arts
our sets
first.
first, but they get them shortly after. Usually it's like a month or two
no
after
no
they'll
yeah
put it in one of
for
their
sure
sets.
for sure.
But
But it's like I
it would
think
just be the same
those
thing where
alt
like
arts.
at the end of the year they could
Mm,
just like put if we get like one every 3 months, they could just put them in like the Japanese set at the end of the year, like they do with all our
The
TCG
extra
exclusives.
pack.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
extra pack.
Mm-hmm.
I I don't know. I feel like yes, I don't know like how I want to integrate something like that into product. Like it could work. I feel like you would have to have a lot of them. And like obviously we did have a lot in that string of like 2021 when we had all the ones that came out in maximum gold. I'm just trying to figure out if we could even have like a year worth of lost starts if we do it in that method.
It's only
We
four
probably
lost
could.
arts. A
It's more
year
than
if you
four,
do
Four.
right?
every
You
3
see
No,
months.
four
I'm
every
it's
year,
more
saying
than
yeah.
four, right? Is it?
Well, no, I'm saying lost arts. We get them. Okay, so actually, to wrap this, to put a bow on this, I guess,
Mm,
where I think we all agree the lost arts started out kind of cool, right? It was Monster Reborn
mm,
and the Exodia pieces. Then it became playable cards. Like the next season of Lost Art was like Ring of Destruction, Call of the Haunted, Skill Drain. Like that was the second year, and those are
mm.
all like playable cards. And then now, in my opinion, and I think opinion that all of us share, you look at them now and they're just flooded with like unplayable like nonsense. And it's just like why would I go out of my way to get
like
like
It is
before,
the
like
it's
I
legendary
would
it's more
people
it's
would
fisherman?
more than full
people would
viability.
spend at my locals like $30 or $40 just to get random shit they didn't even want just to get a lost art.
Mhm.
Now people just I mean product already half the time is not very good, but
Yeah.
I mean like
Right.
before they would actually just buy like bad or like random product just to get the lost art.
Yeah, and
So
now
I'm
they're
I'm
just
looking at
like
the
not.
current Lost Art promotion page. So it is 246 of them for the current Lost Art string, and two of them are ninja cards. One is Dark Ruler, one is
No, it's
Macrocosmos.
they do one every month now. It's
Sure.
we've
Well,
had
well,
one every
this
month
this
this whole
this
year.
cycle has seven, right?
No,
Like,
no,
well,
no,
this is
it
like
has 12.
no, this one has seven listed.
I'm
don't
looking at
see another-
them right now.
It's
I don't know
so
what to
high.
tell you. There's 11. There's 12 of them.
I don't know, I'm on the webpage.
Macro, Ibisu, Dark Ruler No More, Grand Convergence, Mitsu, Magician's Salvation, Zambira, Stygian Dirge, Senju, 2 Traptrix cards, and Danzalu.
That's interesting. Mine is either the mobile thing or whatever. It just has 7. But anyway, so like, okay, if there's one per month,
Well, no,
cool,
that's not every single one. That's just this is just a promo
that's
image.
why I'm like, no, that's why I'm like I'm trying to work out like. Obviously, if I go on the webpage and there's only 7 of them, and they don't mention the other ones, like I'm assuming there's 7. But if there's 12, that also makes sense to me because I do.
Well, it
remember
also
someone-
just says right here on the page that you're looking at, every month a new Lost Art promotion card will be released.
Sure.
But
So
yeah,
it's more than 4 then. All
So
right,
It's
cool.
a lot.
That's what
It's too many.
Yeah.
It's too many Lost
for
Arts.
some reason I thought it was like every 3 months. Like every time a new
Mm.
set came out, I thought like a Lost Art promotion card came out. Because
And I think that's where it gets kind of lost. Is every month that's too many. That's too many Lost Arts.
well, I mean, is it too many? I mean,
if you
I
look
think
at
so.
them, like, do you want any of these?
what is it? I mean, even if it, I did want some of these. Like, I don't want 9. Actually, I don't want any of them. I don't want any of
That's
them.
what I'm
period.
saying.
Like, but so like it can't be too many if you don't want them in general. If there was less, would you want them more?
If they picked better ones.
All right, I'm gonna put this out there. I'm gonna put it from a perspective of like I'm looking at the current ones, right?
Uh-huh.
If I look at something like Senju in ultra rare with the alt art, I would say okay, I might play this in a fun old format deck, right? I might play this in some shitty old format ritual deck, whatever. Would I spend $30 to get product to get this card specifically? Probably not. Same goes for Donzalug, Zambira, and like like a chunk of the other promos as well, right? Like I think the only thing you can maybe make an argument for, and this is pre like Speed Duel and something else, is like functionally Macrocosmos, and obviously same with Dark Ruler. Dark Ruler has been reprinted to piss, is whatever. But it's like
Yeah.
from a competitive standpoint, and also from like an old format like Time Wizard standpoint, I think $30, as Jeff said, when product sucks, to get one of these, terrible, right? Like I'm not getting any EV back, even if like you know what I mean, like because before it was like 2020, 2021, we had some really bad products, right? But some of the lost stars were good enough. You could buy $30 worth of product and get a promo that would eat a chunk of it, and like your EV sort of balances out. And obviously, this isn't going to get into like a conversation of like Yu-Gi-Oh pack should not be about EV, but it's like I'm not spending $30 on garbage. Like I'm going to maximize like what I'm getting. Like that's always a big one. I cannot look at the current crop of lost art promos and think to myself, I care about any of these. If I spend $30 on like Age of Overload or Rarity Collection, I don't care if I get any of these lost art promos. Right? Like that's the biggest thing.
I agree
But
with you.
if it was so like if we go back to 2020 and Dark Magician Girl is the promo, I think I would spend $30 on what was a bad set in 2020 or 2021? Blazing Vortex, Lightning
Yeah.
Overdrive. Like I would spend $30 to get the Dark Magician Girl, or I would spend the $30.
I agree with
to
you
get
on
the
that, too.
Silver, right? Yeah. But
I
here
think
it's
we
like,
all agree on every point.
Yes.
Okay, sure. But I'm just saying it's like I think they are doing a good enough job in terms of like what cards they're putting in there. I think there's a lot of filler, but it's like they could be doing better. And on the one thing that I really want to bring up is instead of just lost arts entirely, how about we just use it for reprints with rarity bumps, something, and again gets cards into circulation. They don't have to be lost arts. Let's just remove the whole rule of like there having to be any alt artwork. Imagine it's just like you get a secret rare absolute zero for buying a Speed Duel box or something as a buy a box promo. That could incentivize it. You know what I mean? They could do something like that to move dead Speed Duel product or something. And don't even have it in the thing, and it supports LGS and it's like beneficial, blah blah blah. I don't know, tangent. Anyway, Fire King structure.
Okay, well, so I actually want to. I have that gave me an idea. Let me start over the sentence. So I think that could be cool, specifically as a way to reintegrate out of print old format cards, and they could even call it like a Time Wizard promotion, right? Like I think that would actually be a great idea to sort of, because like I know that I said there's a lot of lost arts left, but there are a lot. Like there's a lot of cards that just got changed, but like again, we're reaching the real bottom of the barrel when we're printing lost art mass ninja Ibisu. You
And
know,
Grand
like we're really
Honestly, even Mitsu I think is ridiculous to me.
yes. No, I agree with you. So like yes, I would much rather see them be functionally playable cards, and I truly think the best way would be you make an official tournament store like promotion where you make them Time Wizard relevant cards and cards that have been out of print for a while. Substitute would be a perfect first one because it has been out of print for a long time and was banned for like a decade. And that would be a perfect way to put Substitutes out there for people that want them to play the legacy formats, because it is unplayable in current Yu-Gi-Oh! Everybody agrees. Like, it's not a card. Like, if they put Substitute in a pack, it would be for the Time Wizard guys. And then if you are a current format competitive player and you opened a Substitute, you would go, what is this? So I feel like that is like maybe even like the perfect middle ground of just like, we already have this sort of OTS like promotion with the Lost Art where we can, you know, and I don't know what maybe you just call it the Time Wizard, something like, you know, Time Wizard something, right? I don't know exactly, but some sort of Time Wizard thing.
I feel like that's a very accurate name. I mean, just call it the Lost Art promotion. You just call it the Time Wizard.
The Time Wizard promotion. Yeah, literally, sure. Yeah, just
simple.
the Time Wizard. Yeah, Time Wizard.
So
Time Wizard.
I think
Time Wizard's treasures. Time Wizard's treasures.
Yeah.
Time Wizard's treasures.
There we go.
Time Wizard's treasures. And then
Our
you just
economy marketing team, you can pay us now.
just quickly as well, traditionally this is the cool thing I think about these sort of like buy like pack promo sort of thing. Like you don't see them, like they'll exist on the market, they sort of have this like decent enough value retention, but when it comes to like rarity bumps and stuff like that, I think you can do a really good job at making sure you don't devalue the Lost Art themselves, obviously. So like we've had well, not even like a Lost Art, like a hypothetical promo, right? So like you could do an ultra rare copy of Substitute in your Time Wizard, hypothetical Time Wizard promotion thing at your LGS, and then maybe later on you have it reprinted as a rare in a deck building pack, or you have it reprinted as, you know what I mean, something to that extent. But it's like, well, what's max rarity? It's still the Lost Art ultra rare, and now we have value retention while also putting more cards into the you know, the rotation of like people who want to play Time Wizard and stuff like that. You know, it's just like more cards in the ether, you know, that more in circulation, everything is a bit better. But then, you know, when it comes time, you can still put that reprint into a pack and not feel bad. And that's how I sort of felt about like Skill Drain, where it was like, you had the Lost Art Skill Drain, it was still expensive. You had the Hidden Arsenal Skill Drain, and it was like expensive relative to like what it should be, because no one, you know, opened that pack. And then you had again Mama Skill Drain reprint. Now it's just casually like in the toilet, you know, like $2 card. And I think that's sort of like the natural progression, right, of like how we do it. Just got to scale it down, but maybe not the Skill Drain way, because every copy was ultra. I didn't like that. Let's touch on that real quick, but I don't like that.
Well, that yeah, I mean, sure, yes, it was bizarre that every
That
copy of
one I
Skill
thought
Drain
was
was
silly,
ultra
right?
for 2
Because
years.
you had the turbo pack was max rarity.
Yep, it was
and
ultra.
Then ultra.
Yeah, then they made it ultra 4 more times. I know. I agree. Remember, I know.
Do you know how many times I have almost sent a turbo pack ultra Skill Drain when someone ordered a Mama one? Twice.
Yeah,
that's too many. I'm not happy about it.
Yeah. No, but all right. So to summarize, Lost Art promotion cards got watered down because there were too many of them and not enough good ones. So we propose Time Wizard Treasures, the TWT, and you start with Substitute, and then maybe do Absolute Zero, and then maybe, you know, I don't know, then you reassess from there. But I also think that is like, obviously not every.
I mean, I think
format...
a huge one is Metamorphosis. That
oh
card
yeah, Metamorphosis.
Like,
yeah, that's a good one too.
That was like,
there has to be something about that card, right? Like, obviously not from like a gameplay perspective, but maybe from like a licensing or like an artwork perspective, because that just feels like an end.
Why? It's been banned for 16 years, 17 years. Why would it have ever been reprinted?
Like, it just feels like that could just be a card that you throw into like one of the speed duel things or something dumb. You know what I mean? Like, it would just exist, and it's speed duel, so who gives a shit? And it probably won't be that broken. Like, I don't know.
I was in like Trap Dust Shoot and Royal Oppression. Just the ban. So like, if they don't like reprinting ban cards, just put them in these OTS promotions. You can even put a little packaging that's just like the most powerful cards from times past. You know, something. You know, like yada yada. Like, so powerful they had to be locked away, but here they are at your local OTS store.
And if like people, they use the argument. You can't use the argument.
Oh god.
Oh, they're banned cards. People don't want to pay money and get cards they can't use. Oh yeah, you're doing that anyway. With these
you can't use Mass Ninja Ibisu.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not putting Grand Convergence or whatever it is in my deck.
Okay. Anyways, all right. Yeah, let's dial it back. Sorry to It's a Fire King structure deck. I cannot believe we
Really
talked
quick,
about Lost
sorry,
Arts for 20 minutes.
I
just wanna
know.
comment that note about banned cards really quick. I remember, I think there was like a Matt Bell or Kevin Tewitt interview, and they're just like, we don't want to release sets and then ban cards that are in the set like shortly after, right? Because like while the product's still in rotation, if you open a pack and you pull a ban card, you'll be disappointed. Coming back to that, I feel like almost 90% of the cards in the pack that I pull, I'm disappointed that I pulled them. So
Because they're not good.
Yeah. But yes,
Yeah.
anyway, Fire King structure deck.
I mean, granted, also that interview that must have been on Pojo 18 years ago. So like, it doesn't,
Probably,
who cares anymore?
Like from what I remember, it was forever ago.
Yeah, like it's all irrelevant. But yeah, so
I think it was about like Draco Sack or something. It's just like we don't want people
or like
pulling a
Monster
Draco.
Reborn in the Blue Eyes structure
Yes.
deck, or like
Oh my
something
goodness, yes.
that got banned
I'm
before it
very
got
terrible.
printed or something. I don't know. Anyways,
So on the topic of structure decks, we
yeah.
should probably keep going back to the
Yep.
Fire King structure
Yep.
deck and
Yep.
the YCS this weekend, because that's way more important than 20 minutes of Lost Ark.
No, it's not. That's
So-
way less important.
So with the Fire King structure deck, I feel like I might be the most familiar with it because I'm really excited for it. But we did talk about what's in it, and before we go into the YCS this weekend, I just want to kind of go over what the most popular decks on Dueling Book are. And in order, we have Rescue Ace, Unchained, Labyrinth, Pearly, Branded, and Tearlament. Then obviously it just goes lower. You have like Infernoble, Splash and stuff like that. But these are the decks that we've seen do pretty well outside of Branded. Branded actually has like a lot of people playing it on Dueling Book, but it's not done well at all in any of the past events recently.
Yeah.
And it even has like a pretty decent win rate on Dueling Book at 57%, which is definitely higher than a lot of these other decks right now. I think Unchained also is at 57%. 57, 58.
Have you
So now
seen DB top rated? Just curious.
no, that's more of a you thing. Do you want
It is borderline unplayable. It is everyone playing Vanadium, like Centurion, Infernoble.
Mhm.
It is just a chunk of combo decks, and it is just the most unfun thing ever.
Yeah.
I feel like the other numbers line up. There was an online tournament for a PlayStation 5 that happened 2 days ago, and I think
how
it was
was
won
that?
by Tia. I didn't play. I was watching Ryan and the other guys play. But I think Top Cut, there was like a good chunk of like obviously this event wasn't like big, but I think it's it had the Fire King deck legal. From what I saw, I don't think there was a lot of like expansion on that Fire King deck. I think I only saw 1 or 2 people playing it. So it's going to be relatively unknown, and I don't think it was a good pick going into the Italian YCS anyway. But we had a lot of Lab, Tier, Unchained, just like the standard suspects. I think Lab might be the sleeper pick going into this weekend, honestly. It like has its own FTK potential, right? And it just like has good enough utility into a lot of what the decks are doing currently. I think it's reasonable. You still some people cutting Ash as well, which I think is crazy.
So,
people see like the Jesse deck.
I need to say one thing about the ladder on DB right now. Jeff, I don't know if you looked at the single cards or looked at the deck statistics, but Centurion hasn't been added to the deck statistics yet. And
Yeah.
Centurion, based on single card usage,
single
is
card
the
counts,
most
yeah.
played deck.
Yeah,
That's
4,700 I see with
crazy.
Primera. Yeah.
That is crazy. It's literally like there are a couple cards like Diabelsar and Imseti are a little bit ahead in usage, but those can be splashed in multiple decks. As far as like single deck, it's like even like the bad Centurion that you said you only play 1 of is like more played than Hydrant. And I don't think that's because Centurion's the best deck. I feel like it's because it's the newest deck and people are bored, right?
Yeah.
And it's fun to move cards around.
Like what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the next event that you're going to end up playing is going to end up being post Phantom Nightmare, right? Like if you're playing Costa Rica the week of this set? The week after, right?
I believe
it's before, isn't it? Or is it?
No, Costa Rica uses the new set, like 100%.
Oh, it does use Phantom. Okay, cool. It does use Phantom Nightmare. Interesting.
So it's like we have yeah. So like the next event that you're playing that has been announced is just Costa Rica, and you'll have the new Maze set, and you'll have the Phantom Night, whatever the new Phantom
Nightmare. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. So it's like, what? Like, why not have fun if you're playing DB? I feel like DB is already a chore as it is, so it's understandable that you see a deck like again, like all the combo decks, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a good time sink. You sit there, you're basically just playing like a cookie clicker. You know, you're just sitting there hoping they
Yeah,
don't have a hand trap that makes you
I
get
played the
points.
Centurion deck at 2 tournaments, and I will never play that deck again.
Exactly.
It
Yeah,
was so. Not only was it so boring, I also just
it's
don't
not
think it's
good.
very
It's
good.
not
I don't.
good. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's terrible.
Um. But going back to the YCS and if Fire Kings will see kind of an impact, I think that did see the last event was won by Unchained, and it really just does not have any bad matchups, or its bad matchups don't see a lot of heavy play. We do know that like Floowandereeze is like a terrible matchup for Unchained, but in general, it's just very flexible. Flexible. It can adapt really well into other decks. It can use a lot of hand traps. Like we saw some of them use like 11.
Yeah. Even like
And
post side, right? For Terelement, you saw them sort of try to compensate for the Abyss Dweller conundrum. You see shit like D Shifter,
yep,
right?
you can side
In
shifter
Unchained as well.
because all your cards will still trigger.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I think we'll still see a lot of that. I also like the Tearlament matchup is also not great as well. But I think again, Tearlament is another deck that has seen kind of a drop off where everyone thought it was going to definitely be the best deck. Like going into that first YCS, I think everyone thought that Tearlament was going to be so good, and it did really well at the European YCS prior to that.
It won that PS5 tournament, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. I don't know if they're gonna post deck list, but it was like a Kong's Cards free PlayStation 5 thing. Yeah.
Okay. The one thing about the or not the Unchained deck, the Fire King deck, that I find interesting is that there are a lot of similarities to it to the Unchained deck, where it doesn't have a lot of weaknesses inside of like the decks that people are playing. Um as well as the fact that it revolves around destroying your own cards. Look exactly the same
Which is
thing
what
in all
Unchained
of them.
already does. Yeah,
Yes, right, yeah.
actually.
So so you have similar things and they will both function that way, and they both randomly have like a Xyz monster that's really strong that you use on your opponent's turn to stop them. I do want to point out that that does get a lot better with the next set and the addition of Bonfire.
Yes.
Uh, we see in Japan, or not Japan, this is China actually. There was a tournament last week in China with 470 people, and first, second, and third place was Snake Eye Fire King. So that's pretty crazy to see that, in my opinion. And there were even
I'm pretty
more.
sure their deck lists were also card for card as well.
I'm pretty sure actually they were too. I mean, if I can
Yeah,
scroll
yeah. No,
down.
oh wait, actually one person played 41 with 3 impound.
Mm,
You know,
Yeah,
these are pretty close.
yeah, they're all pretty similar. Yeah.
Mm.
Um,
Again, it's a case of like, oh, it's a structure deck, and they tend to fill up spots in a main deck with just engine requirements, right? Like
mhm.
we saw it with Salad, we saw it with like all the other that I don't want to say trap
Very
tricks, but I feel like
homogenized.
this is like a build your own sort of like three structure decks. Non-engine is like 10, 11, 12 cards or something.
Yeah,
Maybe
And
more.
some Phantom
Maybe
Nightmare
maybe more.
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah, yeah.
again, because a lot of these cards are like starters or work very well, like one or two cards, just like the Unchained deck, you can fit like a good number of hand traps. So like
Mm.
these decks played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hand traps. Uh,
Are we counting Max C? I feel like Max C and Ash are just a requirement at this point. Anytime I see an OCG list, those
yeah,
six are just
so I
forever
mean,
there.
we're talking about like even like right now. So in my Fire King
Mm,
deck I have right now, I have 9 hand traps, and it
mm.
could be more because I have talents in my deck. Talents could just be
Sure,
hand
sure.
traps instead. Um,
Does Ash give them any synergies? Like, can you blitz on that wolf in your deck? Like, does it being
yeah,
fire
you
matter
Yeah,
at
play
yeah.
all?
you
No,
play
it plays
yeah,
Sunlight
you
Wolf.
play
Yeah.
Sunlight Wolf.
Yeah, I always
Mm.
feel like that always like it hasn't happened in a while, but when I was playing a Rescue Ace and I had Ash in my deck and I just like this feels like cheating when I summon Sunlight Wolf. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah.
you know.
So definitely Bonfire and the Phantom Nightmare cards push a deck to another level, but I still think it's actually like a pretty good deck without these cards. Definitely not like super super crazy, but I definitely think that on top of the fact that it comes out in 6 days and then is legal for the YCS, which is later that week, if people go ahead and play this, I think that they will definitely top the YCS because people just will not be familiar with the
Mhm.
deck. And they will play into certain things, so they can like quick exceeds on your opponent's turn and then blow up all your monsters. So if people are just unfamiliar with certain interactions like that, um, you just like lose your entire field, or they have like a quick effect that basically lets you like summon a monster from grave, then pop any card on the field. So again, it's just one of these things where there's a lot of little interactions where if you're trying to play into their field and not uh, you don't under if you don't understand the deck, you will play into these things and you'll be
Mm.
punished for it. And I think that might be the case. And I definitely think it's probably good enough to top the YCS. So we'll see. I'm pretty excited for it. I
That
like
also
the card
requires
a lot.
people to. So that requires like obviously if your opponent's unfamiliar with them, that would require some people to be familiar enough with them to play the deck,
Mm. Yeah.
correctly. Which may be like maybe there's some disconnect there with like somebody's like, well, I only got these on Wednesday. I don't want to play the YCS with them in a week, but
Hmm.
we will
I
see.
think part of the issue for the Fire King deck as well, though, when you look at like Japan, which is funny to think about, because generally Japan has like this higher density of ridiculous decks, given like some of the cards that they have legal. I feel like current TCG has almost the same amount of these crazy decks on like equal playing field that do ignorant things, right? So like especially tier. I think tier is probably like the biggest deterrent for me to enter with a deck like the Fire King deck, right? Because I think like as long as tier exists, it becomes really really dicey for decks like Fire King and even like Unchained. Like, obviously Unchained is just like powerful in its own right, but I don't know if like Fire King will line up as well into the other mid rangey sort of decks like Unchained does. So I'm hoping maybe like this deck excel. Like I would like to see this deck do well. Like I think this deck is really really cool, but I think maybe it'll excel if we have like a ban list or something. Or maybe it is just powerful enough with all of the new cards that come out. Otherwise, it feels like we just have another uh, high strength deck. Obviously, post like Maze or post Phantom, we have like another deck that will do something ridiculous on like the playing field, right? Like nothing will change, but we have another powerful deck that we have to compensate for. And I
Yes.
don't know if I like that. I would like the OCG format now, where it's just the Fire King deck, and I get to side deck Soul Release, which I think is hilarious. Right? Did we talk about that? I don't think we brought it up, but like
That no,
that's
there are
the point
some
that
of these
they've
people
gotten
are
to.
playing silver release. Yes.
Yeah, that's the point that they've gotten to. Like the metagaming for a deck like Fire King, there is Soul Release. That is for Fire King, right? Like I'm not wrong. Someone brought it up to me, and I was like, that's very funny.
I it honestly, I don't know why. Like, I'm trying to think about why you would use that over something else, but I I would have to see it in
Mm.
action, like because I'm trying to think about when I like draw hands with a deck and play out. If my opponent starts off with Soul Release as their first action, does that do anything? And I want to feel
Well, you
like
can
no,
also.
it
It's funny because
doesn't.
you can
But
thrust for it as well, which is
yeah,
Okay,
hilarious.
that I mean, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
Like if my opponent's gonna thrust for soul release, like okay, man, you know what? You can just have that one. Like I don't
Pretty
know.
much, yes. If that is better than any other card that I can thrust for, which adds any card in my deck, allegedly. Yeah,
Yes, allegedly.
allegedly. Yeah.
Ugh.
But nah, like that's why it's like I look at these OCG ones, this is another funny one that I think we brought up before, where it's
Oh,
like
oh,
there's
oh!
different.
I know what it's for.
Mhm.
I'm stupid. It's the new Link 3 that summons on your opponent's turn and pops. The new Fighter Link 3.
Oh, sure.
Oh, so you soul
So
release that and a bunch of other stuff, and then
yeah,
it
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
okay.
Instead of just like a DD Crow or something
Yeah,
like
that
that,
card is
stopping that.
crazy. For the record,
Yeah.
that card is
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, that
absurd.
card is insane.
That
Every
card is
every combo I've
insane.
seen with that card has just been magical. So
Literally magical. Yes, that
like
card
no,
is
like it's
crazy.
just looking at it, I'm like, this feels like a creator card.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, it
And they probably
does.
sat there, they're like, yes, fire card, haha. It's like, no, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, so that's definitely what it has. It covers that and then the rest of the graveyard stuff too. So that has to be what it's for.
But yeah, so just quickly though, I think it's funny that we see like a more uniform sort of breakdown in China where they're all playing the same deck. I feel like this is just like a common trend that we've seen out of these like unofficial Chinese tournaments, and now there are official Chinese tournaments. I'm pretty sure this one was an official one. China City, because I know China City wasn't official before, but one of the people in the photos is wearing an official Konami shirt, so could be wrong. But then when I was looking at some of the OCG lists, they seemed like Japanese lists. They seemed a lot less refined, and there was a broader range of like more fun or like combo-ish sort of decks. More like stuff like Pendulum popping up, more Centurion Horus, and you know, like those sort of decks. Whereas like the Chinese event, it was, you know, concise, straight to the point, literally first through fourth. You know, similar deck lists, no real deviation, just playing, you know, the best deck of the format. So that's always cool. And I think there was a weird breakdown for a Korean tournament as well. Yeah. So the Korean championship that was held in Seoul on the 17th. The winner was Runic Stun. Second place was Rescue Ace, and then we had Horus Therion and Pearly. Weird, right? We go from one pocket of the OCG just having this like nice streamlined strategies, like best deck, whatever. You go to Korea, here's 4 different decks. You go to Japan, here's a couple different decks. You know, it's funny.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at some of these other tournaments. Yeah, still lots of just kind of lots of, you know, Sinful
There's
Swirl,
still a
Snake
lot of
Eye,
Fire King,
Exeter deck.
yeah. Yeah, like the
Rescue
metagame,
Ace
the metagame
still.
breakdown is probably the same, but it is it's interesting to see. Like these are like similar sized tournaments, you know, and it's just like literally just different entirely. Like the Hong Kong one, I feel like had a more TCG approach, because we saw an Unchained deck in the Hong Kong one that was just basically playing you know, Jesse's deck with Contract and everything else, like, and that became the standard for Unchained and OCG. From what I've seen, like it doesn't really deviate too much from the TCG deck outside of like the restrictions that it has. And then like Snake Eye as well, but like yeah, the Chinese one just, it threw me off. I was like, okay, Fire King is probably just going to be the best deck if X, Y, and Z happen with the new cards coming out. But there's still hope for all these other decks in the format as well. Like,
So I think also like a reason why Fire King also does very well in Japan is that it plays really pretty well into Max C as well, where you don't have to go like super like wide or heavy into Max C. You can just, if you get Max Seed on like your first special summon, you can just like set a spell card that interrupts, and then you have there's a monster that has an interrupt on your opponent's turn as well. So you can just as well.
It's just efficient, yeah. Like it trades really well with the Max. But no, that's the one thing that I always like when I look at these OCG lists from like a chunk of a format where we don't really have events. I like to look at the regions that they're played in, and then I like to see how those groups of people end up playing, because it is interesting. Because I feel like you don't see it too much in the TCG outside of maybe like Europe, where you see decks like Branded, and I guess Rika is a really good example. Like those function a lot better in Europe, you know, and then in North America they don't really see similar, like, you know, uptake, you know, post like the round 1 deck breakdown. It's not to say that they're heavily represented, but like the conversion rate is a lot better for those decks in Europe, and then worse in North America. So
by far, by far.
It's cool. I like the Snake Eye deck as well. I just wanted to funnel that in there, like to the point where they started putting the Flamberg Dragon.
Yeah, the Flamberg Dragon is a very cool card.
Putting that as a tech in the Fire King deck because it just lets you make like a bunch of links to fun. I like that. I think that's cool.
That card is really cool. I like that when I was messing around with when I was messing around with them in Vanquish Soul, shockingly. I really liked the
I mean, you did play your Sinful Spoils Snake Eye deck for like a good chunk of time, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
and like I guess it's playable. Like it won the Hong Kong tournament here, and the deck actually does.
I mean, I didn't have this card. Like I didn't have the new one.
No, exactly. Yes, you don't have the level 1, and you don't have
Bonfire.
Yeah, I didn't have Bonfire.
And you also don't
either.
have like the new Link 3 and like
I was missing a couple tools to make that deck. But that was kind of what we all said, right?
You had hopes, Ryan. You had high hopes.
I know. I'm saying, but that was what we all said. Is we were looking at it and we're like, this actually does a bit more than we thought. Like with a little bit more support, this deck could actually probably be like really strong. And then,
and instead of a little more support, they're like, here's some crazy shit.
Literally, yes. Instead of a little more support, they accidentally like kicked over the bucket and just oops, all Snake Eyes support. Like, here you go.
While we're on the note of the Snake Eyes stuff as well, so I do my traditional like end of year because we had YCS Sydney announced, and I'm like trying to figure out, hey, like what are cards that people will end up wanting for YCS Sydney, and can I get them now while they're cheap enough on like TCG with like the bonus bucks and stuff like that. And some of the things that I was looking at were like the cards that were played in the Fire King deck, were played in the Snake Eye deck. You know, obviously just the decks that I anticipate to be playable in March for when our event is going to happen. And it's interesting to look at how the price trends are for a lot of these cards, especially with people just realizing like, hey, a lot of these decks will just be playing the Sinful Spoils engine, right? Like it'll be multiple copies of Wanted and then all the other, incremental, like maybe one of stuff like that. And just seeing, I think the price chart for the dragon is really funny because it was literally peanuts and now it is a solid $8. I think it could easily go to, I don't know, like 15, 20, maybe it's reaching. But I think as long as the best decks are able to just fit the Sinful Spoil stuff and we don't have Maxi, I think you are resolving the Flamberg Dragon like sort of combo, quote unquote, more often than not.
Yeah.
So that could be a good pickup. I'm surprised it's not more expensive now. That seems like a really reasonable spec buy. Even the Quarter Century Rare is not expensive, which is another thing I noticed too, where it's like you have cards that are expensive in their base rarities, and then they don't really convert to an appropriate price
Yeah.
in the Quarter Century rarity, and I don't know why.
We sort of talked about this a little while ago when we were talking about like card prices and whatever, where one of the main arguments people was like, you make the high rarity ones and they're really expensive, and then the low rarity ones are cheap, and then even the cards that were cheap for the low rarity ones, the high rarity ones, like I think the best example, I haven't checked this card price in a while, so I don't know if this is still true, but the best example I had was Ultra Rare Hydrant was like $50, and Collector's Rare was like barely 90, and you could probably find them for cheaper if you like really looked. And I think that's the other thing is also like, like obviously buying a card on the internet versus like if somebody in person might sell to you for less, or whatever, or like you trade for a different amount or whatever, right? So like you can't always use online prices as like the end all be all. But yes, I do agree with you when I was looking at like some of these Agov secret rares that were like the really expensive ones, and they were $70 like Wanted, right? Like Wanted for the secret rare was like $60, and then Diabell Star, the secret rare, was like $20, and the Quarter Century rare, the Diabell Star, was more. And I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like, why is like what is going on?
I don't know.
Yeah, like literally what is happening? I don't know. It's all like all of it is just whatever.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you that the Flamberg Dragon for the Quarter Century, especially if it starts seeing play, I do agree with you that it seems maybe lower than it could be. But at the same time, Quarter Century rares have been so weird where it's like, I personally feel like it's just from somebody, from somebody who isn't 100% certain what they're looking at, and they're looking at these Quarter Century rares, and some of them are $5, some of them are $500, and they look at these cards and they're like, okay, this one's $50, like, but the secret's like $3, like what's happening? Like what does any of it mean? And I feel like it's maybe because they've just printed 200 Quarter Century rares in 6 months and no one knows what's going on. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works. Literally 200 of them. Like we'll see how it works.
When I open the Kid at Locals binder to trade, and every card is 25th anniversary. Yeah.
Yep. Pretty much, right? But we'll see. I feel like it's definitely possible that we'll see, even though it's only a one of, I think it's definitely possible that we'll see the ultra rare Sinful Spoils card, original Sinful Spoils. Is that what it's called? Original Sinful Spoils, Snake Eyes. I think it's really reasonable. We can see that.
The ultra, right?
Yeah, the ultra. Yeah, I think it's reasonable. We can see that go up a little bit, and the Flamberg Dragon, because it seems to me that with Phantom Nightmare, we're about to transition from Snake Eye, or from the Sinful Spoils cards being essentially a Rescue A support engine to the entire metagame of Yu-Gi-Oh! Will be fire monsters. Like literally the whole metagame will be a fire monster deck because fire got so much support randomly. And no matter what deck you're playing, you're going to fit some fire monsters in it. Like even if you're playing Salamangreat, you can literally probably just put some of these cards in there too and just play the Link 3. And there's more Salamangreat stuff coming out too. I don't know when we're doing it in the TCG. Oh, in May.
That I would I'm gonna brush over and see if that holds true.
Because Salamangreat, I read the new
So-
Salamangreat card. I don't think it
Also, I
actually.
want to point out while
Mhm.
we're on the topic
Yeah.
that the next set also there's a TC exclusive Pyro deck. We
Oh
don't know that they
yeah!
are
Oh, I
Pyro.
forgot about that.
We
Oh
do not know
yeah.
that they are fire. They could be like Pyro, Water, Wind, whatever, Earth monsters. But I'm sure there's going to be at least one fire monster
Yeah.
of them.
Oh yeah, well, like all it takes is like again another crazy generic card, right? That's all that needs to happen is like here's another generic pyro whatever, and it's like we just put that in our
All it takes
already
also
crazy
is
Fire
for
King
one of
deck.
them to be level 1. We have so much support for level 1s now too. Like randomly, I think it's probably just, like a particular metagame trend, but any of these decks could just put Kurakara in them. Because the level 1 Snake Eye just searches, and level 1 it just searches Kurakara. If
Yeah.
you just drew a way to play and you just go, okay, bonfire for my guy, summon it, search Kurakara. All right. Like, and at that point, like, I mean, Kurakara was only really good when a Rise Heart was on every field, but because that's a card that your opponent has to activate, and that kind of like flipped the script on those like playing around the reactive cards, and Kurakara but still, if there's ever a deck where Kurakara becomes good, all of these decks can just side a Kurakara, and then game 2 you have 19 ways to search it.
Right.
It's just
So sorry, just on the note of Salamangreat, while I'm looking at the list here, and the person who played it is quite accomplished in the OCG. And I think this could be the budget alternative. The more I look at it, it doesn't play any of the Sinful Spoils cards, and it is just literally Salamangreat cards, and the only new card in it is the extra deck Link.
well, that card does a
And
lot for Salamangreat too, in my
no,
opinion.
but
Yes.
I'm saying like this does a lot, but it's like this is the budget alternative. This doesn't need like a
Sinful
crazy amount of
Spoils,
new
sure.
cards. Like yeah, like this is just like the reasonable deck into like a format. I think this could be something that people might be neglecting because there's like a bunch of new shiny toys, but this could be the budget alternative. Like maybe you should be buying your Salamangreat ultras from Soulburner now before they go up more, because I genuinely think this could be like the sleeper deck for people who don't want to have like a a high investment point in Yu-Gi-Oh for the next year.
The only expensive card in this deck is 1 SP, right?
Yeah.
Literally,
And I'm going
everything
to
else in
assume
this
that
deck.
this fire monster is going to be a secret rare 100%.
Wait, what is?
Jeff, what is the level 2 is that new IP card, right? The level 2 dark in the main deck. Sorry for and like obviously you guys can't see it. But I'm just
I am.
clarify.
I think it
let
is.
me
I think it is. I think I'm about 99% sure that it is that card.
And then it's funny
Yeah,
'cause the
no.
level
This
3
card is
Goblin
awesome. Yeah, it's the
This
new.
card is awesome.
It's like SP Meow Grenade. It's like a cat grenade.
Is that in the main set or is that in
It's in
a side set?
it's in the main set.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
This card's very good for it in Salamangreat.
They also it's funny because the level 3 goblin that they play to beat like the Xyz decks, haha, is also just a level 3 extended to help you make Mirage Stallier. I gotta say, Spinny's back, boys. Like I'm writing it down. Salamangreat will win another event in 2024.
I also really like the new card coming out in Maze that lets you. I'm pretty sure it just lets you make Pyro Phoenix on your opponent's turn. If I remember, I hope I didn't just make that up. Give me a second. Let me find this card. I might just be spewing. Let me just
Ryan
find this
wakes
card.
up like a year from
Pyro
now.
Phoenix on your opponent's turn isn't real. It can't hurt you. No, I'm almost certain that it is a. Oh my god.
I think I know which card you mean. Like I'm not.
I'll find
I know
it.
what you mean.
I'll
I just
find
don't
it. I
remember the name.
promise. Is this card not out in Japan yet? Do I not know what this card is called?
What are we talking about? Which card?
It's like a cheat out a Link monster
It's
card.
a Salam. I do not believe it has Salamangreat in its name. It's in. Hold on. Let me. I'll find this. I promise. I think it has. I think it's like a Salamangreat like coder crossover card.
Are you talking about the promo card?
Maybe.
I think it's a promo.
Maybe. I thought it was coming out in Maze of Millennia, but maybe look, I could have just lost my mind. Give me a second. I'll continue speaking about what you guys were talking about, and I promise I'll find it. I promise I'll find this card. I thought it was in Animation Chronicle, but it might not have been. It might have been in a different. It might have just been in something else, and I'm just making this all up.
let's see.
This is. I'm gonna lose my mind. I just imagine all of these things. This is crazy. I was so certain there was a new card. You could banish it from your graveyard, and you could.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. This is crazy.
Yes,
right.
I know what you're talking about.
I'll have to trim some of this. This is crazy. If we don't find this in like a minute, I'm gonna have to go in and edit this part out. This is insane that we can't find it.
All right, all right. Give me. Let's see if I can do
this
this
is
in
wild.
30 seconds.
Someone
listening to this is like they already know what it is. Code of Soul.
Yes, that one. Very good. Yes.
It's a level 3 fire monster.
Level 3 fire monster.
Okay.
Oh yes, no, the card that isn't Salamangreat. Yeah.
Okay. Code of Soul. I knew it had. Wait, is it?
But it does Salamangreat and its card text. Yes.
But it doesn't have Salamangreat in the name. So.
No, it is not. It is
this card's just not even. Oh no, it did get released. Oh no, it's not released.
No.
This has come out for over a month. Oh, I don't know why I thought. Never mind. Okay, I thought for some reason this was coming out amazing. I thought this was already out. It is not out, so that's why that deck wasn't playing. That's why the deck you just sent us wasn't playing because it's not out yet. But it's literally during your opponent's main phase quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Immediately after this effect resolves, link summon one link 3 or higher Cyberse link monster. So if you have Sanctuary on the field and you had Pyro Phoenix on your field, you can banish from your graveyard and just slap a Pyro Phoenix down. And Pyro Phoenix says when it's link summoned using itself, it destroys all your opponent's cards. And that's awesome. And I want to do that. But apparently this card's not. Yeah, this card's artwork is literally like Decode Talker, but he has like Salamangreat armor. And it's supposed to be like a crossover of the Code Talkers and the Salamangreat guys.
Which they already did once, by the way.
They did? Which one? What?
What? It's the Code Talker Fire Monster.
Oh, Heat Soul. Heat Soul. Yeah, that's true. They did already do that, didn't they?
Yeah, so this is the baby version.
This is baby Heat Soul. Anyway, Code of Soul. Oh, that makes sense. That name checks out now. All right, I'm not editing out anything. They're gonna have to suffer through us. Finding. Anyways, this card's awesome, and I thought it was out already. And never mind, we will not get this card till 2086. So I will not hold my breath on this one. This is anyways, I don't know, maybe we will. There's some other cool cards. This set is also the set that has Wing Kribo level 6, which is Wing Kribo cosplaying as Flaming Man, which is also just the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
It is a very silly one. I kind of like when they do these little crossover monsters. However, sometimes they make a Red-Eyes Dark Dragoon and then
and then we don't like them anymore. Yeah, and then we're like, okay, then the novelty wears off. Yeah, sometimes they actually make the best card in 3 years, and then the novelty wears off pretty quickly. But you're right. I didn't actually notice that Heat Soul was literally just Decode Talker wearing Heat Leo's armor. That's crazy. I guess I've just never actually looked at this card. but Heat Soul is literally just Decode Talker wearing Heat Leo's crown. That's crazy. Okay, well, now I think Code of Soul is less cool because it is just something they've already done. Oh well. Now that illusion has been shattered. Regardless, I don't know why I thought this set already came out. It's just, I guess they just do this every December, huh? Literally every December. This is this year's equivalent of like the God box, right?
Yeah, I guess it would be, because I'm looking at the box right now.
Every December they do a something box, the secret utility box, secret shiny box. Secret shiny box is crazy, by the way. That's an insane product name. Secret shiny box. No, this one is the quarter century duelist box, and it just has a bunch of these anniversary crossover.
Unfortunately, though, the last one was way cooler because each of the box was different, and you got
each of the boxes for this one each of the boxes is different for these two. They're always different. That's one of the gimmicks.
Really? I'm looking at on the Wikia. It doesn't say anything about that, or like.
Maybe you're right. Maybe this would be the first time they haven't done that then.
Or you get, because each one you get like a different thing of sleeves and a different promo card, but
yeah,
that's
not on. It was like that. It's been like that for all of them. Even the God box, there weren't 6, but there were 3. Interesting. Yeah, that would be shocking to me if they didn't do it this time. This would be the first time they haven't in like 5 years if it's not different. I imagine it will be different. That just isn't released yet, so I imagine all the details aren't known. But I imagine you'll get a box based on one of the
Well, it comes out in less than a month, so
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Well, I'm sure when it comes out, we'll talk about it again when we get all the new cards because there's still 2 cards that we haven't seen yet, apparently.
1,
At least 2
2.
that we haven't
Yeah.
seen yet. But anyways, Code of Soul. That's what I wanted to talk about. That card's awesome. And yeah, I do think that Salamangreat has like that's a deck that when it was really relevant, I think the first month it came out, I thought it was actually very good. And then when it got hit for the first time, I was just like, this deck is unplayable. Like when Gazelle and Circle both got
Yeah.
limited, I was like, this deck is unplayable. And then everybody kept playing it for like 2 more years. And I was like, what is wrong with you people? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like literally, what is wrong with you people? Like,
It was
enough is
because it was
enough.
just very affordable. People literally could just
Yeah.
buy 3 starter
And
decks.
obviously,
then play
it
the
was a
deck.
fine, like, it wasn't a terrible deck. It was actually, at that point, you didn't even need 3 starter decks, Jeff. You only needed 1. And then some
Yep.
Sunlight Wolves because the cards all got limited. Yeah, you could actually buy 1 starter deck. You could buy 1 structure deck and a couple Sunlight Wolves, and then you had your deck for 2 years, like actually, and like a Hida, and that was it.
Yeah, I think the only thing you had to buy was sign-up mining, right?
Yeah, and that wasn't even out yet for at the beginning. That didn't come out.
Oh,
until,
really?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
that didn't come out till Darkness and Neostorm. There was like 2 sets with it without sign up mining.
And,
I think
like,
that
3
was
white.
probably where like when Gazelle and Circle were at 1, and then before sign up mining, that's probably where I was like, all right, this deck is unplayable. And then sign up mining came out, and I just went, I don't care anymore. Like it doesn't actually like, but this is people love this deck. Like actually, people love this deck. I don't know. I just whenever I think about this era of Yu-Gi-Oh, I think about Thunder Dragon Colossus, not Sunlight Wolf. So maybe my like worldview is just twisted, and I remember the
think
bad
about
times
Sky
instead of the
Striker
good.
cards because I played Sky Striker then, so.
But yeah, man, they
But
really
I
are just
think
making a million fire monsters, huh? That's crazy. Well,
Mhm.
we're gonna
Which-
enter fire game soon, I guess. But
And then with the is not After Phantom Nightmare is it's the light set Destruction of Legacy of Destruction,
okay,
and that's the one. This will be the last set, I think, with the Magician's a Bond of Unity. And this
allegedly, it should be. I
yeah,
agree. It should be the last one.
and this also has the new Yugi cards in it.
Mhm.
But I'd also think that maybe, I mean, do you think that they'll go into like another attribute and they'll start giving support to another attribute and do like an entire year of that?
What do you mean?
I mean, they gave like 3 sets
Probably.
of fire cards and fire related
Oh, sure,
cards.
sure.
Do you think maybe like
Could
what would be like
could this
maybe
be
like
the water
wind?
year?
Wind
No, what if they
maybe?
do the water year and then we have the retrained water deck finally come
Oh,
out?
oh, that's I meant to mention this. So,
Atlantean, how they skipped Atlantean.
yeah, so we talked about this. I want to say maybe 10 episodes ago, like maybe in like 15 or something, where we talked about the retrained structure decks. This is actually a great time to. So as far as the structure decks go, right? They've had. Let me actually pull this up on the actual Yu-Gi-Oh website, not anything else, just so I can have it on front of me. So as far as structure decks go, right? Recently, they've been sort of weaving in between new release structure decks. The structure deck in Japan, they're called structure deck R, which I believe is for like reloaded. And if you look at the packaging, even on the English structure decks, on the bottom left of the box, it even says reloaded on the reprint structure deck. So like originally the Fire King structure deck, which was called Onslaught of the Fire Kings, came out in 2013. So 10 years ago, which is insane to me. And actually, no, 2012 even, right? Or was it 2013? It might have been early 2013. I think it was the first structure deck of 2013. So this is the reloaded version of Onslaught of the Fire Kings, and 10 years later. And until now, we have not skipped a structure deck for the reloaded section. So the very first reloaded structure deck was the Monarch structure deck, Emperor of Darkness. And it was a reloaded version of the Caius structure deck from like 2008 or 2007 or something, whenever that came out. And then we got the Dragon structure deck. Then we got Dino Smasher's Fury and Machine Reactor, which were retrains. And then so we literally didn't miss we've been going in exact release order of the original structure decks, which I think a lot of people don't even realize that most of these are retrains. Like Zombie Horde is a retrain, the Spellcaster Endymion structure deck is a retrain, the Machinist structure deck is a retrain, and we had not missed one. And after Dark World was supposed to be Atlanteans, and they skipped Atlanteans, which is the first time they've done it. They have not skipped one in 7 years. And the one after Fire Kings is supposed to be Chaos Dragons. And do we think they're gonna skip Chaos Dragons? Like what else could the reasoning be that they skipped Atlanteans other than that they wanted the Fire King structure deck to come out to coincide with all the fire attribute support, right? What other reason could they have had? So do we think the next one's going to be Atlanteans, or do we think they're just going to skip Atlanteans altogether and just go for Chaos? They would never do a retrain Chaos Dragon structure deck. The game would end.
No,
right? Like the game would end if they think about it. One of those cards is still banned
from the original structure deck. Yeah,
Eclipse Wyvern. Eclipse Wyvern is still banned. Like Yu-Gi-Oh would cease to exist if they did a reloaded Chaos Dragon structure deck. Like,
wait, how
it
big
would
was
just
the
be
gap?
over.
What are we looking at?
Huh?
Because Fire King was 2014, Chaos Dragon was 2012.
Oh, you're right. They skipped Chaos Dragons and Atlanteans.
They did.
Never mind.
Yeah,
You're right. Never mind. They
And
already skipped Chaos
They
Dragons.
skipped the Blue Eyes deck as well, but that doesn't
Well,
count.
that's not that wasn't a retrain.
Yeah,
that was an
that's
original
what I
one.
mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, then maybe, maybe you're right. Maybe that would have actually been there as well.
Yeah.
I don't know where the Blue Eyes one counts in there, but yes, never mind. So you're right. They actually already skipped. They already skipped Chaos Dragon. So they skipped Chaos Dragon and Atlantean. Do we think that's where they finally decided, okay, these would be too crazy? I don't think an Atlantean structure deck would be that crazy. Maybe it would. I think at this point, you could sleeve a Mermail. You could sleeve a Mermail Atlantean deck right now, and if you won every die roll and open Deep Sea Diva, you win the tournament. Like that's just true.
Yeah.
Like you win if you win every die roll for 15 rounds and open Deep Sea Diva, you win the event. Like that's just true. So I don't know what you could possibly give that. Like the power level of that deck is just out of this world. That deck just discards your opponent's hand and puts up 3 negate. But then it's just like if your Diva gets Veilered, then you pass, right? Like that's the problem. Is like if your first card gets interacted with, you can't. That's why the deck is not good. But so like what would you possibly give that deck? Not more power. It doesn't need more power. So you give it more consistency. And then you have the problem where now it's a deck that can actually be consistent and rip your opponent's entire hand and they lose instantly. But so yeah, maybe if they do a water block, right? Like we've just had like a fire block. We had a Rescue Ace, the Sinful Spoils, Salamangreat, Soul Burner. Oh, we also had Soul Burner. Granted, we had the Legendary Duelist of the deep one already, and that deck that was bad. But I forgot about Soul Burner.
Soul Burner also came out in like, oh wait, Japan had Soul Burner, right?
Came out like 3 months ago. That came out after Dune.
Well, no, we had like that as like a set, right? Where I don't.
Yes, it was yes, it was a full set. Yeah, they didn't change it. It was just the full set. Yeah. So, yeah. I wonder. All right, I'm gonna just assume we're never getting a retrain Chaos Dragon structure deck because that would be too broken. But Atlanteans, I'm kind of shocked we didn't get yet. I am a little concerned. Not concerned. That's not the right word. It is a little perplexing, I guess, that they skipped 2 when they had not skipped any in so long. Unless truly it was just we want fires to be good in 2023 and 2024. So we made the Fire King structure deck. But we'll see. What comes after Fire Kings? If you have that pulled up already, if you know. What would come out after Fire Kings in the list?
It was the Gigia one, right?
No. I did have it up. I literally just moved away from it.
Sorry, just some nice keyboard ASMR for those.
Yeah.
just I did just buy a new keyboard, so.
Oh my gosh.
There was one in between Gear and Fire King, right? The Lightsworn deck was in between Gear and Fire King.
If Lightsworn came out before Gear.
So the Lightsworn and Gear structure decks were not OCG structure decks. They were
the decks, right? The deck box.
Yes, they were like the deck building decks. It would be Cyber Dragons would be the next one, right?
Ooh,
also,
that is
Saga of Blue Eyes Print. They came actually no. Actually, Saga of Blue Eyes came out after Onslaught of the
Wait.
Apparently. So it would actually be blue. Oh my god. For the 20th anniversary, they would never pass up that chance. Can you imagine?
For what?
For a remake of the Blue Eye structure deck? They would never miss that opportunity. Surely. Surely they would not pass up the 25th anniversary Blue Eye structure deck remake. Surely, right? There's no way they wouldn't.
Remaking it?
Well, no, I
don't
mean,
know.
you know, they're doing the reloaded structure decks. Like, this would be the next structure deck that they would do.
I
Surely
don't
they
know.
have to.
I have a really hard time believing they would make more Blue Eye support like that.
Well,
But
if they skip that one, then it would be the Cyber Dragon structure deck would be the next one.
right,
And then
yeah.
if they skip that, then they would
Then it
skip
goes-
Lightsworn and Geargia because those weren't real structure decks. Then it would be Hero Strike, also a good 25th anniversary one. Can you imagine
Yeah.
New Dark Law? Then if they skip that, it would be Synchron Extreme, another 25th anniversary, you know, a good pick for 25th anniversary. So I think they have a lot of opportunities for 2024 if they want their structure deck lineup to just be 25th anniversary reloaded structure decks. They can just go Blue Eyes, Heroes, Cyber Dragon, Synchrons. And that would be crazy. I think those would go crazy if they just did those four, right? You could argue they just did a Jack Atlas structure deck, so maybe they wouldn't do a Synchron one because they kind of like just did 5Ds. But I think that would be like a really cool way to kind of close out the 25th anniversary like products is if they just did that run of reloaded structure decks of just all like anime protagonist structure decks. And then they could close it out with Master of Pendulum, and then that would actually go all the way back around, and then Emperor of Darkness would be the next structure deck. So they could actually remake Monarchs a second time if they really, really wanted to.
Great.
If we finally come full circle, right?
I mean, they already didn't they like 2 sets ago make that new like dark Thestalos?
Yeah, they did make a Dark Thessalus, which that was a really bizarre one. I don't know why they did that, but actually.
And then I'm very surprised that they
Thestalos,
did,
the Shadow Fire Monarch. Yes.
Yeah, why just that one, and then for like 2 more sets not make another one?
They did that with Mega. Who was the first Mega Monarch? Was it Ryza? Or was it Mobius? I think Mobius was... No, it was Gramarg. Gramarg was the first Mega Monarch. So, this would be weird for them to just do Thestalos, the Shadow Fire Monarch, and then not do another one. Yeah, that would be kind of weird. And then Thestalos, like, wearing Erebus's, like, cape. I don't know what I'm going to call that. His weird circular accessory.
Wait, who is?
Thestalos, the Shadow Fire... Oh, no, Mega Thestalos has the same thing.
Well, Thestalos the Shadowfire Monarch is like a combination of like Thestalos and Caius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Erebus
Erebus.
is the big Caius, I think. Maybe not. I don't remember. It's all Yu-Gi-Oh! Lore is so convoluted at this point. I don't keep track anymore. But anyways, yeah. I do kind of wonder if they're gonna kind of rotate into like attribute support blocks. I think the next structure deck announcement, if they announce Atlanteans as the next structure deck, then I feel like it's possible that will happen. If they just announce the Blue Eyes Reloaded as the next structure deck, then we're just gonna go Blue Eyes, Heroes, Synchrons, and they'll just be over, I feel. And I think those products would actually just do very well. So I really wouldn't have a problem with that at all, to be honest. Except if they make a better version of Dark Law, then I have a problem with that. Then I have a lot of problems. But that's impossible. A card cannot be better than Dark Law. That's not possible.
Yeah, never printed.
Literally impossible. Okay, anyways, I think that covers it. Unless you guys have anything else.
Hear me out.
Yeah.
Finally, Mass Change 3.
Mass Change 3.
Anyway.
You're right. Mass Change.
Honestly, they probably would make if they did that again.
Mass
We haven't
Change
gotten
3
Mass
would be
Heroes in a long
wild.
time.
To 2 months or something ridiculous.
Mass
Send
Change
your
3 would
opponent.
be
It'll just be
so-
super poly. It's
Nah.
fine.
So wild.
No,
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's like Mass Change. Like you send like your opponent's monster and your monster.
Yeah.
And then you get 2 Mass
It's just gonna be
Heroes.
super poly.
Oh god. Oh man. Mass Change 3. That would be awesome though. I would love that. All right. That would be kind of cool. Okay, so we'll see how many of these random ramblings come true. But the only prediction I will say is I I feel like the next reloaded structure deck, it's either going to be like, I feel like there's no way they do Chaos Dragon. I feel like they just skipped it because
Yes.
good. I'm sure they spent like 20 minutes trying to like design a retrained Chaos Dragon and was like, no. Like, you know what? No. It's just not
Yeah.
happening. Like, these are too broken. It can't be done. Like, how do we make
especially
better
because
like
like
SR?
I think around the same time they also created like the Bestials, like when it
Mm.
should have come out like around that
That's a good.
airtime.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So,
Oh yeah, that's true. And it's like, how do you do that? Yeah, you just can't balance that.
Yeah.
And Dragon Link has just been good and like Chaos, but yeah, it would be too crazy. Like it would just be, they would have to be the most unplayable cards ever, and at that point, why make them, right? It needs to be done at a time when dragons aren't like Magnamode and Druisworm are just still like played in almost every deck. Like, it needs to be done at a different time.
Yes.
But anyways, yeah. So Blue Eye structure deck coming soon. I hope. I think that would be kind of cool. But also, yes, I agree. I don't know how they could possibly make more Blue Eye support, but I'm sure they'll find a way.
I mean,
whatever.
they definitely could, but
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, because then in my head, like they would also have to make more Yugi support, which I mean, well, I guess actually they are making more Yugi support. What am I talking about? They're making an
They're
entire set
making
about it.
little Yugi support, yeah,
Yeah.
from his duels.
It's like the final episode versus
Yep.
Atem, I think.
Yeah. Spoilers for a show that came out 20 years ago, but
Yes.
just in case, just in case Yugi wins. Just
Yes.
spoiler alert. Yeah, spoiler alert. Yugi did win. Okay,
Oh,
that's all.
no.
That's
This
all I
is
got.
Attack on Titan all over again.
Yeah.
People are gonna unsubscribe.
Yeah, I can't believe you spoiled the final duel between Yugi and Atem.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, thank you all for listening. This has been was a new experience. Yeah, so we will be, hopefully the next episode will look visually more aesthetically pleasing than this one. But just closing thing, check out the links in the description. Just make a UGN account, get a free promo. Like, you literally have nothing to lose and only a promo
Ryan,
card
remember,
to gain.
tell them which promo it was. Tell them
Oh,
which promo
seizing
it is.
the advantage. I'll maybe even put that in the
Definitely.
description if I remember to
Mhm.
yeah. But yes, you have nothing to lose and 50 points to gain. So just put JRB podcast in the how did you hear about us section, and yeah. So, and then if you have any interest in that game at all, which I love that game, so I will keep singing its praises, and I will say I did not think I would ever play a game other than Yu-Gi-Oh for my entire life. Like, I just saw that was done, and then I started playing, and I love it. So it is.
And they're coming out with Yu Hakusho, so I might dabble into it once
Yeah.
the Yu Hakusho cards come out,
I will
because Yu
say,
Hakusho is my favorite.
yes, it is likely that we will do, even if we do no other content on that game other than just talking about it on the podcast intermittently, even if we do nothing else in that game, it is very likely that we will do more product openings for that. So even if you didn't care this time, next time, in February when there's a Yu Hakusho set, maybe we'll open up some Yu Hakusho cards and you'll find those interesting. But yeah, so thank you all for listening, and we will see you next time.
Adios.
Bye. All right, let's go bully Jesse in the RuneScape Discord.